Hey YouTube, this is a video about shimming your guitar neck. Now, if you've ever bought a second-hand guitar before, and you've ever removed the neck, sometimes you might find a very strange object between the neck and the neck pocket. It could be a piece of plastic or a credit card, it could be a bar coaster, it could be a piece of wood, could be anything. And now these are all classic examples of a cheap shim. Now, a shim is essentially a piece of material used to raise the neck one way or another from the neck pocket. Now, there's a number of reasons why people may do this. For one, they may want to raise the neck angle if there's any problems with the intonation or the string height or action gets too high on the higher frets. Now, if this happens, then they'll need to change the angle to try and level it out. However, with other people, they may feel they need to raise the neck as a whole, because if they have the saddles as low as possible on their bridge to try and lower the action, and they still can't get low enough to get the action they want, they'll need to raise the neck so then the saddles don't have to go as low. Now, these are the main reasons why people use shims, and I'll go into it a bit more in depth when I start doing it on my Strat, which I'm going to do. Now, there's a big debate online, and there's a few arguments about the possible loss in tone and sustain when using the shim. Now, me myself, I've shimmed a few guitars, and I haven't seen too much of a difference. But the way I think about it is, it's all a compromise, you know? I mean, the reason why most people shim a guitar is to increase playability and to ease of playing on that guitar by sorting it out and setting it up properly to how they want. Now, if that's your goal, and that's a bit more important than the loss of tone and sustain, then go for it, you know? It's all a compromise in the end of the day, and if you want to get what you want, there's going to be a bit of sacrifice. And well, come on, I mean, it's a Strat, it's not really a bloody mahogany Les Paul with a setting neck. It's never going to have tons of sustain. It's a Strat. Now, I was saying earlier about changing the neck angle to do with the intonation and action issues. Now, see, if you can see my Strat close up, you'll see that it's got quite a nice, maybe a bit too high action towards the nut, okay? I mean, this gradually gets taller, which is natural for a guitar. But the problem I'm having is, I find it gets a bit too high for me towards the top frets. And this is because I've found that with a lot of lower budget guitars, there tends to be an issue of when they bolt on the neck, sometimes the angle's a bit too much that way, so it comes away from the body a bit too much, and I find that affects the string height quite a lot when it comes to the higher frets. Now, I don't personally like that, so what I'm going to do today, I'm going to shim the neck to try and balance out that angle a bit more and dip it down a bit. Therefore, the the saddles on the bridge won't have to be as low to sort out the action I want, and it also helps with equaling out the string height that gradually increases, so it's less exaggerated, which is what I want. Now, the way to do this is, see, I've got old strings on this at the moment. I would always recommend putting new strings on after you do anything serious to your guitar, just so then you have a good valid test run. So now I'm going to loosen all these strings, very much so. You can take them off, but I'm going to just keep them on so then I can quickly tune them up again to see how it is, like how playable it is. Now, the main tools you're going to need to obviously remove the neck and put in your shim, I would recommend, if you're doing it the way I am, by using the old strings, I would recommend obviously having a string winder, because it just decreases the time very much so. I would also have a proper screwdriver. Don't use a stupid little dingy thing where you're going to ruin the thread on the screws. You want a nice big Phillips screwdriver, just to make sure that it grips in well and it's going to do the job right. And then also you're going to want a shim. Now, as I said before, you can use multiple materials, and I was contemplating using my old silly Oyster card. But after thinking about it, I'm not too fond of using plastic, really, because I don't know, when it's squashed with plastic, even though it's solid, it doesn't seem to compress as well, and there always tends to be little gaps here and there, and I don't like the idea of that not being a solid structure for the neck to be piled on top of, purely to do with the sonic transfer thing and stuff. So I'm going to use some quite grainy sandpaper, because I feel that compresses quite well, and I know it's going to grip and it's never going to slip out. So I've got my sandpaper now, and I'm trying to think how much I'm going to want to use for the neck pocket. See, because on my strap, I want to dip the angle that way, which means instead of filling the whole neck pocket, which will just raise it equally, I want to put some just towards the pickups on that side, yeah, towards the body, just to kind of dip the neck a bit. Now I'm thinking I'm only going to need kind of two pieces really, so if I just fold over a piece I should be alright. So now it's all about just measuring how much I'm going to need. I'm trying to think what would be best. I personally think that will do it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the strings as much as possible without them twanging off. Oh, that sounds lovely. Right, now so they're properly loosened up now, and they're almost coming off, which is not very good, but you know, so they're quite bloody loose now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my gigantic screwdriver and I'm going to start loosening the bolts. Now don't apply too much pressure. Say if you've got it on a table, or you've got it angled and you've got a support under there, you might want to be careful, because you don't want to end up putting pressure on it so the neck goes that way, because that can really damage one of the screw holes and the neck itself. So just be quite gentle, have it level on like a flat space. So I'm using both my legs because it's quite even.